Every person has a dream. For some, it is to build a successful career. For others, it is to start a business, become healthier, learn a new skill, support their family, or simply create a better life. But having a dream and achieving it are two completely different things. Most people imagine the final destination. They imagine the success, the money, the beautiful life, the confidence, and the happiness. What they often don't imagine is everything that happens before reaching that destination. They don't imagine the early mornings. They don't imagine the failures. They don't imagine the boring days. They don't imagine repeating the same small task again and again. And that is where many dreams disappear. Not because people aren't talented, not because they aren't capable, but because they expect big results from small effort that they only make occasionally. The truth is much simpler. Big results are usually created by small efforts repeated consistently over time. A single day may not change your life, but what you do every day can. Imagine someone who wants to become a writer. On the first day, they write one page. One page doesn't look impressive. Nobody notices it. It doesn't make them famous. It doesn't make them successful. But the next day, they write another page, then another. After 1 month, they have written dozens of pages. After 6 months, they have hundreds. And after a year, they may have enough material to create an entire book. The final book looks like a huge achievement, but it didn't appear overnight. It was created one page at a time. That is how progress works. A successful business can begin with one customer. A strong body can begin with one workout. A large savings account can begin with one small amount of money. A new language can begin with one word. A successful career can begin with one skill. Everything large begins small. One of the hardest parts of making progress is that the beginning often feels pointless. You work hard, but nothing seems to change. You study for several days, but you still don't feel intelligent. You save money for a month, but your savings still look small. You work on a business for weeks, but nobody is buying. This is a stage where many people quit. They look at their results and think their effort isn't working, but they forget something important. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. First, it develops roots beneath the soil. For a long time, nothing appears above the surface, but underneath, growth is happening. Human progress can be the same. You may be learning. You may be becoming stronger, you may be developing discipline, you may be gaining experience, you may be building confidence. Even when you cannot see the results, your effort may still be preparing you for them. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. Sometimes one focused hour is enough. 1 hour of studying every day becomes 7 hours a week. 7 hours becomes more than 30 hours a month. And hundreds of hours over a year can completely change your level of knowledge. Imagine learning something for just 1 hour every day. At first, it feels small, but after a year, you have invested hundreds of hours into yourself, you have practiced, you have made mistakes, you have learned, you have improved, and eventually something that once felt difficult begins to feel natural. This is the power of consistency. You don't have to do everything today. You simply have to keep moving. There was once a young person who wanted to build a small online business. The idea was good. The plan was simple, but the first month brought almost no results. The second month wasn't much better. There were days when the person felt tired. There were days when motivation disappeared. There were days when quitting seemed easier than continuing. But instead of giving up completely, they made the goal smaller. On difficult days, they worked for just 20 minutes. On better days, they worked for an hour. Sometimes they learned. Sometimes They made mistakes. Sometimes they started again. The progress was slow. Consistently can dramatically increase your knowledge. Saving a small amount once won't make you wealthy, but developing the habit of saving can change your financial future. The action may look small. The repetition is what makes it powerful. A small habit, repeated hundreds of times, becomes a major part of your life. And eventually, your habits begin creating your results. Consistency doesn't mean having a perfect day every day. Some days will be difficult. You will feel tired. You will become distracted. You may fail. You may lose confidence. You may even stop for a while. That doesn't mean everything is over. One missed day doesn't erase months of progress. One failure doesn't erase your experience. One mistake doesn't define your future. The important thing is learning how to return. If you miss one workout, return the next day. If you stop studying, start again. If your business fails, learn and try again. If you lose motivation, make the tasks smaller. You don't need perfection. You need persistence. Think about a small amount of money being saved every day. The amount may seem insignificant, but after 1 year, it becomes meaningful. Now imagine doing the same thing for 5 years. The result becomes much bigger. The same principle applies to knowledge, fitness, skills, relationships, and personal growth. Small improvements accumulate. One improvement creates another. One skill makes the next skill easier. One successful habit makes another habit easier. One achievement builds confidence for the next achievement. This is called the compound effect. Your efforts don't simply add together. Over time, they can build upon each other. That is why consistency is so powerful. One of the biggest reasons people give up is comparison. They look at someone who is already successful and compare that person's results with their own beginning. They see the successful business, but not the years behind it. They see the athlete, but not the thousands of hours of training. They see the successful creator, but not the hundreds of videos that came before the viral one. They see the finished building, but not the foundation. Comparison makes your progress feel small. Instead, compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Are you learning something new? Are you becoming more disciplined? Are you making better decisions? Are you moving one step forward? If the answer is yes, you are progressing. Your journey doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Imagine standing at the bottom of a huge mountain. Looking at the top can feel overwhelming. The distance seems impossible. But nobody climbs a mountain by jumping from the bottom to the top. They take one step, then another, then another. Sometimes they stop. Sometimes they rest. Sometimes the path becomes difficult. But eventually, those small steps take them higher. Life is exactly the same. Your dream may look enormous. Don't focus on the entire distance. Focus on today's step. If you want to write a book, write one page. If you want to become fit, exercise today. If you want to learn, study today. If you want to build a business, complete one useful task today. If you want to improve your life, make one better decision today. One step may feel insignificant, but thousands of steps can take you somewhere. 1 year later, again, imagine looking back 1 year from today. You have two choices. You can arrive at that day having done nothing because the goal seemed too difficult, or you can arrive having made one small effort every day, one page, one workout, one lesson, 1 hour, one improvement, one step. At the beginning, the difference between these two choices may seem tiny, but after a year, the difference can be enormous. 1 year of small efforts can give you skills you didn't have before, knowledge you didn't have before, strength you didn't have before, confidence you didn't have before. and opportunities you couldn't have imagined before. The future version of you is being created by what you do today.
Eventually, there comes a moment when the results become visible. The student who studied every day suddenly performs better. The person who exercised consistently suddenly looks and feels stronger. The writer who wrote one page every day finally completes a book. The business owner who kept improving finally sees steady customers. The person who saved small amounts finally has meaningful savings, and people around them may call it success. They may say, "You are lucky. You are talented. You succeeded quickly." But the person knows the truth. It wasn't quick. It was years of small efforts. The world sees the result. Only the person sees the journey. Success isn't always one huge achievement. Sometimes success is simply becoming better than you were before. Success is waking up and continuing. Success is choosing discipline when motivation disappears. Success is learning from failure instead of being destroyed by it. Success is doing something small even when nobody is watching. Success is understanding that your daily actions matter. You don't have to become extraordinary overnight. You just have to keep improving. Slow progress is still progress. Small progress is still progress. Invisible progress is still progress. As long as you keep moving, you are not standing still. Maybe today you feel like your effort doesn't matter. Maybe you are studying, but the results aren't coming. Maybe you are working on a business, but nobody notices. Maybe you are trying to become healthier. Maybe you are learning something new. Maybe you are trying to change your life. And perhaps you are wondering whether all these small efforts are worth it. They are. Every time you choose to continue, you are building something. Every page you read adds knowledge. Every workout adds strength. Every mistake adds experience. Every dollar saved builds financial discipline. Every hour spent learning builds skill. Every small act of discipline builds character. Nothing is wasted when it helps you grow. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need unlimited money. You don't need everyone to support you. You don't even need to know exactly where the journey will end. You only need to know your next step. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start with 10 minutes if an hour feels impossible. Read one page if a whole book feels overwhelming. Walk for 10 minutes if an hour at the gym feels impossible. Save a small amount if a large amount isn't possible. Learn one new thing today, then come back tomorrow and do it again. Small enough to start, small enough to repeat, small enough to continue. That is where transformation begins. The small things were never small. One day you may look back at your life and realize something beautiful. The things that changed your life were not always the biggest things. They were the small decisions you made repeatedly. The morning you decided to study instead of giving up. The evening you chose to exercise. The day you saved a little money. The hour you spent learning. The mistake you decided to learn from. The moment you decided to try one more time. Those moments may have looked insignificant when they happened, but together they created your future. Because big results rarely come from one extraordinary action. They come from ordinary actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. A single drop cannot fill a bucket, but thousands of drops can. A single brick cannot build a house, but thousands of bricks can. A single step cannot take you across a country, but thousands of steps can. And one small effort cannot transform your life overnight. But one small effort, repeated every day, can eventually transform everything. So don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Don't wait until you have everything. Start with what you have. Start small. Keep going. And trust the process. Because the small things you do today may become the biggest results of your tomorrow. Small daily efforts create big results. And sometimes, the smallest step you take today is the beginning of the life you've always wanted.